Yeah. Right. Okay, so today's the third session, training session. So yeah, I got your the project and your ticket, the ticket you sent yesterday. Well, there are actually many things going on. I would say that it is actually possible to do to follow that architecture or that specific rule that you highlighted. But I'd like first to have an impression or a feedback from your side to see, you know, how things are going with the software. If you have any specific questions or anything.
Дима, если у тебя есть вопросы, это время задавать. Дима.
Yeah, I think his mic is not connected, so maybe he can join by phone, perhaps. At least the voice.
Prima. הוא בפנים, אבל הוא לא שומע. דימה, אתה שומע?
Okay, he left.
שי, דימה בנסיעה, הוא עמד בפקק הרבה זמן, עכשיו אני אשלח לו שוב את הקישור, כנראה שהוא עשה משהו לא נכון.
אוקיי. דניאל,
Yeah.
I can tell you that from my perspective, I've had issues with the data.
Okay.
And connecting and creating and generating. I've tried to upload the information and something didn't sit well with me.
Okay.
Let's see if I can change let me try and change the I will try to change my resolution, otherwise you will not be able to see anything.
Yeah.
And then it should be okay. Yet. Using two screens and I hate it.
I think Dima is joining us. Yeah.
No, I was not using the right screen. Absolutely. I think it got stuck. Just a minute. I tried to upload the information just to do a basic design. And I ran into issues with the definition of the entities.
Okay.
One of the things that, I mean, when you do the different levels, okay?
Yeah.
So you have your POP, your level 1, and then you have SC as L2, and then you have FDC as level 3, which is SC and FDC are closures. FDC is with splitters inside.
Okay.
And then we sometimes we have a secondary SC that is just for connection, which would probably be layer 4. And then I have FDC and then the secondary, no, I forgot the name.
Are you, can you share, do you have a Sttar open there?
I have Sttar, but I have an issue with my virtual machine.
Okay.
I'm trying to close it. Let's see if I can. I'll try to reboot the virtual machine.
Okay.
Anyway, let me share and I'll show you. Just a minute.
Okay, sure.
In the meantime, you can share the screen and and just remind me what we were supposed to do in this.
Yeah,
In
so
this,
based on the planning, the idea would be to evaluate a new configuration. And yeah, so starting like a configuration from scratch. But well, I see, well, you obviously have started working with the software, so maybe we can review directly all the issues you have, including the problem with that you sent with the ticket. So maybe
the ticket was sent by Dima.
Okay.
It was sent by Dima, and let's see if I can share. I just got a black screen.
שי, דימה רואה ולא שומע. מה עושים?
הוא צריך
ואני
לפתור את
לא רואה
הבעיה.
שיש לו מיקרופון, זהו. והוא בדרך עדיין. אבל אתה צריך את דימה, נכון?
בטח.
טוב, רגע שי, שנייה.
Well, maybe Shai, what we can do is that we can speak about the ticket, the issue. So I have the project open here. And so let's check that. So I'm gonna share my screen, and then we can you can share yourself. Okay. All right. Good. Can you see my screen?
Just a minute. Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So first of all, I see, well, that you have a project. I'm gonna zoom in here again. Okay. So you have a project with in the architecture. So I think it's only you want to here model the drop, the access network, only the drop connections, I think. Well, yeah, you have level 4 and a building. Okay. Right, so this is what I see in the configuration, and you have imported two different infrastructure supports. So you have docked clean edit and strand clean edit. I think, well, this is BESX, right? Infrastructure, I think. Right. So yes. You have well, nothing here as an attribute. So
with that, hang on. Let's get back to the attributes. This is very important.
Okay.
How do I add an attribute here?
So if you want to add, you have two fields. You have name and external ID, right? So what you do is when you have your configuration in the config file, you just search for name here, and there I don't have the input layers, but you should have a list of all the attributes of the docked clean edit shapefile. So you select the attribute you want to keep in the name, and if there's an external ID, you do the same. You select the external ID, an ID maybe in BESX ID or something.
Okay, but I cannot add more data attributes here.
We need more fields. Yeah, you can, but those are they are used as input data. For example, if you have a cost for a segment, the Sttar won't calculate the cost for that segment, but it will take the one that is in that field. For example, asset description, I think asset description as well, you can save it, and the length and cost are used for as input. However, what we usually do is that we keep could be the external ID or the name, depending on that, and we can use afterwards use that ID for looking in the original data set an element or an external another element. So for example, you can do a junction in QGIS or something to retrieve another attribute that is important for you. Because
I want to upload with 20 fields, okay? What will happen to the 20 fields?
to the 20 fields, well, you can only save to here, name or external ID.
The rest are internal to the Setics.
These will be kept in the output. For example, if I have this, if I show you, the layer net pathways contains the information of the real pathways that were used, the infrastructure used for the network. So if I select this one, for example, right, you see that here I have this infrastructure. I have in the attribute, I have this is a support FDP doc clean edit. It's an interconnection, right? And you will have here name. What here in name you will see what you have saved in the attribute in the input data.
Okay.
Same for
so
external key. Here you will have the external ID.
Okay, so basically I can have only two fields that are mapped into external information, external additional files for indexing purposes.
Exactly.
Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so if I have CRM, I have a key from the CRM, I have a key from the Lepton, I have a key from Bezic.
Yeah.
I have an issue.
Okay, so what do you say for when you import to Lepton, do you have in Lepton the Bezic infrastructure or not?
We do.
You do. So what is the process? For example, let's say you're building a new area. You export the data, the Bezic infrastructure for Lepton from Lepton, and then you import it in Sttar. You import it here, right? I suppose that Lepton, maybe in their data model, they have because well in Sttar is the case. You have an element ID. This element ID is let's say an identifier that is proper to Sttar, right? So maybe Lepton has the same. You could save the element ID in their data model in Sttar, and then when you go back and you import in Lepton, you can retrieve the Bezic segment or something, that has been used, or chamber or pole.
Okay, we will sort this out later. Okay, so what we have here is just the drops, right? And the drop here, the FDP was set up by us.
The FCP was imported. Yeah, indeed. There's a layer called S2 edit, and you import it.
Okay, now suppose that I want to add a POP manually. How do I do that?
You want to add a POP manually.
Yes.
So you need to create level 1. And from level 1, so here it's level 5 by default, right? Because it's the next one, but you save it here. You open the properties, right? And then you put here the level. So that would be level 1. Okay. And well, you call it POP, right? Okay, so it would be here. Yes, here. And then when I close the map because you have here nodes. Okay, I'm gonna close it and reopen the map. And you see here that I have now the right naming when I open network nodes, right? And then you can use the tools on the map, for example, this one, create points, lines, and polygons. Okay. On the pop layer, and then you put it wherever you want.
So just put it there. It doesn't matter, just for the sake of the test.
Here, okay.
Now, what happens if I run?
What happens if you run?
If I run.
Let's see what happens if you run.
I assume nothing will happen because we haven't set up a connection there, right?
Actually, yes. You have a connection by default because you see here's the pub. It's connected. It will
Okay.
it will always be connected to the first node.
Okay. To the nearest, you mean?
Yeah. The thing is that here I have, okay, I have run the first time without having the pub, and with that I have created my service area. So I don't have this. I have my FTPs. I don't know if buildings they have the respective FTP already assigned before running the software, right? Maybe I'm gonna because there's a bit of noise. Maybe
With everyone.
I'm gonna deactivate your mic. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So here when you imported the building, and you see that there's no parent node assigned, right? So that means that you input the buildings, the FTPs, and then you run it. So the connections will be somehow arbitrary unless you have put here some rules for connecting the buildings, right? But you don't have pre-assigned the buildings FTPs, right? So when you have your first network, you have level 4 like this, right? So the closest FTP will be assigned to the endpoint following those rules, right? So that's in the first run. When you run it with the pop, then there will be the buildings won't be connected directly to the pub. They will be connected to the FTP, right? However, if for example, imagine you have your pub, you have your FTP already here imported, but if you don't select this option of mandatory before an upstream node, well, here is selected, but if you don't, right? Maybe if there's an endpoint that is really close to the pub, it will be directly connected to the pub, right? But if there's this option selected, that means that necessarily the endpoint will be connected to an FTP and then the FTP to the pub, right? So that's this is the case right now. So when you let's say when you add the pub, depending on the rules that you have in the infrastructure, you will have some connections allowed. For example, if you see here in the pub by default, in the topology, you see that there's a possible interconnection between a pub and a strand clean edit, 40 meters, or pub dot clean edit, 40 meters. So this is very important because if you place your pub further than, imagine here or somewhere where further than 40 meters for any punctual infrastructure, it won't be connected, right? And there will be an error. You can even check when you put this on the map before running. You can check this in asset connections. You have pub building, no, pub clean dot clean edit. There's nothing around, but you have pub strand clean edit. So there are two options. So the one that it selected was actually this one, to connect here and then continue. Okay.
Okay, why this one and not the other? We don't know.
Because what I see here is that for reaching this part, you know, I see, you know, there's no infrastructure. Maybe if there was a road segment from here to here, it would be cheaper to reach this area, or maybe put two cables, or if there was a road here, it will select, you know, the other branch. But I think the only way it can reach the other, all the endpoints is going to the west, you see.
Okay,
So
now,
it's, yeah. Mhm.
I see it. Okay. Now, what we see here, the row, the parts are the parts that Dima has uploaded, which are the existing cable parts, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah, it seems so.
Now,
Yeah.
now, assume that we only upload homes, okay?
Yeah.
And I know my pop area,
Mhm.
but I don't. I need to do the infrastructure from scratch. What do I need to provide the system in order to get a good design?
You mean the drop you don't have the drop connections predefined?
I don't have neither drop connections, nor ducts, nor manholes or poles. Nothing. I just know where the pop is going to be.
Okay.
I know where the homes are, and this is a greenfield.
Right.
What do I need to provide?
You need to provide the strand clean edit, at least one infrastructure. So in theory, you know, new civils, right? This layer.
Okay, so it's for example the center of the road, as
Yeah.
you said there.
For example, that, yeah, you need at least one. Okay. You need to locate your pub, and then you will need to define two things. In terms of the architecture, you will need to define your rules for calculating the clusters. Here you have imported it, but let's say if you put these rules, they will be calculated automatically. The location, the pole location, right? If you don't import anything,
Okay.
but you put rules here in placement, they will be calculated automatically. And for the drops, actually, when you maybe, yeah, when you do something like this, let me see something first. Let me see this reusable pathways. Drop shape, and this is strand clean. So if I do this and I delete this one, right? This is the hypothesis, right?
Sure.
Okay. Right. You see that I have this. So I'm gonna save it, you know, because it's an easy project. So I'm gonna call it no drops. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, for the as an example. So let's say that you have your roads. What you need to check is the interconnection between that you have a possible interconnection between an endpoint and the infrastructure. So you see it here. I'm sorry, in architecture, building, topology, and eventually you need to see this, you know, the distance. Maybe 80 is too much, because as it is a kind of dense area, you might have a connection that is very far, you know, because it's cheaper, perhaps. But you can see here that if I look for asset connections, and I select building, strand, clean, edit, you see you have possible interconnections here. So for example, this
Yes.
endpoint can be connected to this point, or to this point, or that, you know. So this is why maybe reducing there are two things. There's reducing the distance. You might let's say eliminate possible weird connections because it's a very dense area. And there's another trick that I will show you later. So for that, is it clear, this?
Yes, it is. Now, let me ask you another question.
Go ahead.
Assume that I want to do the connection from house to house.
Okay,
How do I do it?
so let's say that you want to have connection from here, right? Like
For example, yes,
Rooftop to rooftop.
rooftop to rooftop. I don't know. It's very dense. I'd rather connect between the houses and create a fiber connection box in every house and just continue, you know, daisy chain.
yeah. So that's a bit tricky because there's no way that you can have an interconnection endpoint in Start. I mean, you see it here, right? You can have then you have interconnections, network, passive architecture. You can have interconnections between FDPs and the street and all that, but between endpoints and endpoints, it's not possible. I would, like in the previous example that you had, there's the connections were because there was it was curious because you had, maybe I'm gonna open the previous one. One second. So I'm gonna open Sttar here, and I'm gonna open this this project. This is the original ticket. Maybe what you need to do is to import an input layer that connects the houses, if it's possible. So creating pretreatment, a layer that connects the houses. So, for example, this is the one that you sent. And
Okay.
let me go back, go here.
When you're dragging the layer to the top, what does it mean from my perspective?
That you see in the ones on the top will be seen first. For example,
Okay.
these ones are hidden, you know.
Okay.
Right. So what happens here? Let's take this example. You have here two houses, right? So look, network section, network endpoints. I put them here on the top. You see. So I have one house here and another house here, right?
Yes.
But I have two cables. I have one cable that goes to the first house and another one that goes to the second one. The thing is here, what it's actually doing is taking, if I look at network sections, net pathways, this is an interconnection between a building and a strand clean edit. So it's not really an interconnection between sites. It's an interconnection between building and strand clean edit that you define, because the strand clean edit point is here in this extreme. You see?
Yes.
So actually, when we look at asset connections, this is what it's taking. So maybe without doing it by on purpose, you got the connection that you wanted here, right?
Okay.
But if you want to do it intentionally, there are two ways. Either you, before running Sttar, you create the interconnections. So let's say that you have your map. So let me here center on map. Let's say that you first you have this, your endpoints. Maybe I'll select another map. Being aerial, so I can see the buildings. I don't know what your criteria is, but maybe you want to perhaps connect the houses that are like this, or have possible connections. You could either connect them beforehand. You create the connections, and you can import it in a layer, another pathway support, call it I don't know, building connections or whatever, transitions or whatever you want, and you put specific rules. For example, what rule can you put? You can say that the interconnection, that pathway, let's say that you call it house interconnection, for example, right?
Okay.
So you try to put here a cost that is cheaper, right? So if the software had to choose between using this pathway, imagine that you have a pathway like this. Okay, I'm gonna reopen the map so I can see this updated. Second.
בין בתים.
בין בתים. כבר הבנתי, הוא אומר, מותר לשים יקה אווירי כזה.
הוא מייצר אותו וירטואלית עכשיו, כדי להכניס את התכנון של מבית לבית לבית. ואני נותן לו מחיר יותר נמוך, אז הוא יעבור דרך שם. אוקיי, לא...
Let's say that here you had created before your this segment, right?
Yes.
So if it's 5 pounds or 5 shekels, sorry, per meter, the cable will likely follow this path, right, for the drops.
Yeah.
But you gotta be careful also with the interconnections. I would, for example, put here topology 1 meter, or maybe only this actually. So not allowing any interconnection to other infrastructures, because you could risk of, for example, connecting I don't know, a node to an endpoint, or like doing like this, because it's cheaper, So you gotta be careful.
Otherwise it's going to bypass all the pathways. So we understand. Now, okay, now that we have this and we know this, what's left for me is, how do I define in each house the box that is going to be placed there?
Okay, so if there's if there's a splitter in the building, are you gonna place the splitters in the building?
Yes, of course.
Well, all of them, right? So you don't have single dwelling units or small houses. So
there are small houses as well, but I mean, for the sake of the argument,
okay,
from the green point, I need to have one splitter in one building and another splitter in another building. So in essence, from the green point, there will be a through connection to the first building to the second for the splitter.
Okay, so if I understand well, you'll have one splitter in a chamber here eventually. And then you'll have another splitter in the building, right? So
yes,
I would.
And then if there is another building that is connected to that building, there might be another splitter there. There will be another splitter there.
in
Because
the
assume
other
you have
building. So let's
you have 4 or 8 apartments in every building. So I want to come into each building with a couple of fibers and have one of the fibers connected to a splitter.
okay. So that means you have your first splitting level here for example. Then you connect to this house, and this house, the building has a second splitter, right? And you have this house, this building, and this building has the second splitter for this house particularly, but you want to use the same cable.
Correct.
So I would, to place them automatically, I would do this. I would put my second splitting level, whatever it's called, here in placement, collocate with endpoint if at least 3, maybe 1. And right, so I have my splitters, and that would place them mandatory, that would place them everywhere in all the buildings.
Okay.
Right? And if that's the case, yeah, you will have yeah, the thing is that here they are, okay, as you imported this data, right? They won't be calculated. But if you want to calculate them automatically, they will be placed there. So let's
calculate automatically.
yeah, but another thing is that maybe for the second one, I'm gonna put maximum distance by infrastructure, not 1 meter, because it's like 1,000, maybe 1, because that means that maybe a house that is here would be connected to a splitter in another building, right? So if I put here 1, and I click OK, and here I delete this. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, I need to, for the buildings, I need to erase the network, because my buildings have a parent node. Let's check that. So if I select this one, parent node 72. Right, I need to okay, let's see. Yeah, the problem is that I don't have the input data. Let me do something. Well, the other project that is here, I'm gonna export this layer. Export. And I'm gonna save it here. Okay. Right, so I have buildings here. And now, if for this example that I have, so 1 second, I have here. Right, so I'm gonna select this layer that I have just imported. And I should have here in this attribute the dimension network section, general cost. I think it's dimension 1, perhaps. Network termination 1. Let's see if there's where I save my premises. So I have this. Yeah, terminations, right? You see?
Yes.
I have no parent node. So let's try it. Mhm. So I have here network nodes. I have, you see the nodes that were created, FDPs.
Yes.
And I have here cables. For example, if I take this one, I have one cable, 5 fibers, right? Because this building has, which is the one I selected. Sorry. So, okay, so let's say that I'm gonna show here network count at 1. So let's select this this house. Now the cable that is here, it's a vertical cable. I have 6 fibers, and for 6 premises. And if you see here, network sections, I have my node.
Yes. And the
I
number
have
is the amount of connections in each node, or number of fibers.
that's a number of fibers connected from this equipment. You have a splitter of 1 to 8, because in the original in the configuration you had 2 possibilities. You have either 1 to 8 or 1 to 4, so you have 6 premises, 6
Yes.
apartments, right? And here, yeah, you have this vertical cable. You see that in the architecture, I have 888 premises and 895 buildings. So let's see. There are 7 that are not created. So seven buildings that are not served. And let's see why. These ones. And why aren't these served?
How do you know that they are not served? Because there is no connection?
There's well, I know it. I know here because there's no FDP, and we said that the FDP should be placed. But another way to know it, more accurate, if you select here net endpoints, set symbology, unique values, and you say here connection status. You have here connect 9, that means they're connected. 4 that are not connected because they cannot reach a node, or the node cannot be connected to any the endpoint cannot be connected to any node, and this is because there's no infrastructure, or that means that there are no houses, no endpoints in these houses, right? So if we class it, right, you have here 2 premises, and the ones in, yeah, I suppose Let me see, serve asset connections.
צריך לדבר איתי על זה. פה צריך לדבר איתי, אני נכנסתי עם הזמנה.
These are isolated premises, so there's no way you can connect them to any infrastructure. That's why, you know, and
So
yeah,
I need to do civil work to add that.
yeah, to count them into the network, right? You need to add civil work basically here.
Okay, and how is the system capable of telling me that and as a part of the design?
It can indicate you which endpoints are not served, right? Because they're either too far away from any infrastructure, or there's no surrounding infrastructure, while looking at the net endpoints. However, how to what path you should follow? No, I mean you have to see it on the map yourself. I mean, this is the way you can see. Well, maybe here you draw something, you know, and then, for example, do this, right? So right click, finish polyline, then do this. Finish polyline. You know, I'm using this tool, create points, lines, and polygons,
Now I see it.
right? And in these reusable pathways. And then click. Right? I'm gonna make sure, maybe I will delete this connection. So asset connections, and this is an interconnection endpoint strand clean edit. Building strand clean edit. So if I select it, I can delete it. Yes. And I have only this possible connection. So let's see what happens. Of course, it won't be connected because the nodes are already calculated. So once there are nodes here automatically already placed, you cannot calculate new ones. So there are two options. Either I delete the nodes and recalculate them, or I can add them manually. So the first one is the best option. You see that now it's a different status.
Yes.
So what I can do is that I will just let me check how the nodes are named. So they are named like FDP 396. So I'm gonna create one for this endpoint. So FDP, create points, lines, and polygons. I added here. I create also a name. I put a name. So FDP. Let's call it 01 manual, right? Okay. And I select the input layer net endpoints. This is my input layer, right? And I select it. And I can select now my tool assigned to parent node. I take it, right click, set as parent. Have a look here. First, have a look here how it changes. Parent node, okay? So I do it again. So, sorry, you need to select it. Yeah, and parent. So it's on the same point. So I do this set as parent. And you see that the parent node is now this one.
Okay.
And I run it.
תוכנה הרבה יותר חכמה מתוכנת דימה. הרבה יותר.
And if I check my status,
יודע כמה רוצים ממני על ה-API? שאנחנו, שיפנו אלינו כדי לעשות זמנו?
now it's purple.
$1,000 סטאפ, בערך 30,000 לחודש.
Connection status 9. So now it's served, this one.
יש מישהו שכבר עשה את זה בשביל IBC, דיברתי איתו. לא, אמרתי לך. Okay, so now we see that it is connected.
Yeah. For this one, I don't know why it's not connected, so I'm thinking about it. Or well, I would wait. You have two premises. This is not connected either. You have three.
But we said that we would put a splitter when you have more than one.
Yeah, it did it for other, and it's not a matter of the premises. For some other ones, it's connected, but I don't know why from here. I need to think. Building strand plane. I need to check why.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll think about it, and I will have a look in detail.
The fact that those red lines are dotted is these are options for connectivity.
Exactly. So potential connections.
And if I just want to test the direct ones, the ones that are used.
Those are potential ones, and well, you see the cables and all that, and you see the ones that are followed. Actually, the layer that is more important is net pathways. Here, with this layer, you see which type of infrastructure is being used. You don't see you don't see any cable here because there's no, I mean, there are only vertical connections, you see? Because you have the FDPs, this is my only node, and the buildings. So you don't see any distribution, for example, or feeder. There are only vertical cables.
Drops, as we call them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and now let's say that I want to add the distribution layer.
Yep. So what node do you? So for example, if you have, that means you have level 10, level 4, and you have level 3, 2, or so.
Yes, let's put 3, 2, and 1.
Okay.
And calculate automatically. And I assume that we have pole data, and if we don't, we need to say where the poles need to be, no?
Yes, if you have, oh, yeah, exactly. You need to import them. So
I will not get automatic placement for poles.
You can recreate them. I mean, that means you mean it's a greenfield area.
Yes.
So yeah, you could. For example, these ones. These are potential poles for putting a node. Every time you see functional infrastructure here, you have strand clean edit. Right? You see the layer. So what you can do is in infrastructure, how would you what is the criteria for creating poles? Every X meters or when you intersect the drops.
Every 25 meters, or when you have an intersection, or you need to connect a few cables in a single point.
Okay. I would
5 to 40 meters.
Okay, I would put here another. I don't have the input layer, so that's not gonna work, right? I need the input layer. But what you can do, first of all, I would take out the drop. You know, I would put the drop in another support with specific rules. And for the strand clean edit to simulate aerial infrastructure, I would here and in the layer create split lines into equal parts. And I would put here, I don't know what you want, 25 or something. So that means if
Put
you have,
30.
okay, yeah, if you have a segment, you know, more than 30, it would place automatically a poll. I don't do it because I don't have the input layer. I only have the SD brush. So it will delete the, you know, the layer that is imported. But this is how you can do it. And as a general rule, right? But you could also, let's say, if you have already your design and stuff, if you want to automatically create a poll, right? You can do this. Let's say I want to create a poll here in the center. After when I do my detail design, I can select this tool, split pathways, right? So I click here, whatever I want, to select the segment. Yes. So this is important. You see that I have only one segment.
Yes.
I will explain to you what happens here. So, okay, so let's say I want to create a poll. I click on the strand clean edit, split pathways. I click once, it creates a point, right click, split line. So I have created here a segment, right? You see? And
Yes.
here another one, and you see that you have here a potential poll, one element. So something that we need to do because for these intersections we need to in the the problem is that I don't have the input layer, but what you should do if you have here these points, right? Let's say these interconnections.
Okay.
You see that I have I have one segment that goes all the way to the east. So what you should do is to add another filter, another pretreatment called split lines at the intersections. Okay, so if you do it, you have this. Well, there's the parameters, and so by default it's okay, right? And that filter would create a point every time there's an intersection between the layers. Here it's not present because you see that the segment is a single one. So let's say that imagine I run my design and I calculate my first splitter node here. There's no way I can connect my endpoint to this point because there I only have I have this point, but this point is it comes from the overlapping of these lines, but there's no way I can connect it to my main infrastructure, right? So, but if I added that,
Not right. Not
sorry?
right. Not right. We the system is put here, a split connection.
No,
it did a split, right?
no, it's here is a potential punctual infrastructure to potentially place a node.
potential to for a node. Okay.
Yeah.
But why are you saying that I cannot connect the homes otherwise?
I wouldn't be able to connect these houses to any node because you see this segment here and this
Yes.
segment.
Yes.
I can if I place this point, this punctual infrastructure, is not overlapping with the main line because there's no intersection between elements. If there was an intersection between elements, you could see it here. So you would see a segment that goes, a selection that goes from here to here and one from here to here. But here, this is a single segment. So there's no way I can connect these drops to the main road unless I say I apply a filter and say split lines at intersections. I would create then, I would split the main line in this intersection, and this intersection, etc.
Hang on, but I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I see the line, the yellow line, and I see the drops going from those intersection points.
Yeah.
Well,
So
But you're saying that they are not connected?
they are, well, first, they are not connected because I haven't created a node, but if I show you maybe this, you have a drop connection, another drop connection. Here, as they are extremes, right? The system creates automatically punctual infrastructure, okay? But the road, if I have the main road like this, and I don't split my road here, there's no way that a potential cable that comes from a house, let's say I have my distribution, and I want to connect it here. There's no way I can connect it to the road because the entity is not created. It's a single element, the red line. So
now I need to create their closure.
No, what you need to create there is a punctual infrastructure, because and a punctual infrastructure is a point shapefile. So if I create here, let's say I apply the filter, split lines at intersections, the filter would split the line here and create a point here. So you have one segment, two segments. Eventually, you could place here, let's say that you want to calculate it automatically. So the software will be capable of placing first node here, first splitter here, and connect it to the drop connections. If that point in red doesn't exist, you cannot connect it to the main network. You know what I mean? Because what you have.
I understand. Now I'm asking, how do I add this closure?
You mean not the punctual infrastructure, but the closure?
Yeah, I mean, we are talking automated design.
Yeah.
We've seen in the map that we have a long path.
Yeah.
And so we have an issue there.
Yes.
So I need to fix this issue.
Yeah. So first, I would create the intersection in the infrastructure to create a potential place to place my splitter. So let's say we do this,
okay,
right? And I have a segment. You see, I have one filter, but in the end, if I apply the filter, I have segment 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and they are split here, right? Okay, we do this, and I would then in the architecture, in my level, let's say level 3, right? Here is where I place my first splitter, right?
Yes.
Which is called, how do you call it?
S1, for example.
S1, okay. So if I put here S1, well, I would put my rules here. So how many endpoints per splitter 1. So what is the maximum distance between the splitter 2 and this S1? And well, you could have the number of sections, and mandatory if it's the case. So that means, for example, when you have maximum number of premises, right? And you have let's say, as an example, you have 100, right? 100, and you have here maximum distance of let's say 300 meters. Okay.
Okay.
The software, and another thing is that you could have here placement, let's say, well, upstream, right? The software will try to put this here. Yeah, as I calculated, I'm not sure if I can calculate it automatically, like a first node, or I need to put it. We can try that, but the software will try to put a node trying to group clusters of 100 maximum within a ratio of like distance of 300 meters, and group the clusters like this. So let's see if I can do it, or I need to add the first node by default. So let's see. So I'm gonna close this and reopen the map. Network endpoints, I'm going to...
כן. תשאלי אותה כי אני בעבודה ואיתו. בסדר, תודה. ביי.
So where are my S1s?
מה זה שאלה? אנחנו נחבר אותם.
אני מנסה לראות את זה.
Okay, so
Daniel, while you're okay, finish this and then I have a question.
mandatory. Okay, so I don't know if I can, maybe I need to put by default the first node.
Fine with me.
The pub. You know, this is actually the first time I'm doing this because it's not the the regular process, but yeah, I'm discovering how to.
My next question would be, please tell me the regular process.
Okay. Great.
We as Israelis, we always start from the answers and then look for questions. But
Yes.
I want to do it the right way.
The process is you define your architecture, all the nodes in a single project. Unless, because if you want to calculate everything automatically, I think it's better to calculate the whole network. So from 1, 2, 3, or 4 up to the last one. Not calculating one, then adding another node, and then adding another node. I would do it like this, for example. I add my pub. I would add my pub.
I mean, I would Okay, you would add your pop, okay,
Mhm.
and then
Of course I cannot create the reason for this is because I don't have the input layer. Okay, give me 1
it's
second.
fine. It's fine. No, just take me through the process, okay? Take me through a process. Define the pop, and then what?
Create the first splitting level. I would put here the splitters I want to use. Let's say 1.4, 1.28, or whatever, right? I would put
Okay.
here the rules for creating the clusters, minimum 1 or maximum 100, for example, and the distance. If that's the case, if there's a distance, maximum distance from the S1 to the endpoint, I would add it here. And I would put here mandatory before an upstream node if that's the case, right?
S1, סליחה, S1 ספליטר צריך שם 1.4 ו-1 ל-16.
S1 can be 1 to 4, 1 to 8, 1 to 16.
Okay.
כן, טופולוגיה שלנו 64 לפורט.
Because we are doing 1 to 64 per OLT port.
Okay.
אני קיבלתי טופולוגיה 128. אם אני תשים ספליטרים ככה עכשיו זה, אני קיבלתי 128 לפורט. אני לא יודע למה. The question.
The question is, Daniel, Dima says that he got up to 1 to 128 splitting ratio in the calculation. He doesn't understand why.
Okay. Maybe you would need in your configuration. I don't know how it was. You will need to here in building. No, sorry, in endpoint dimensioning, maximum splitting ratio. And here you select 1 to 64.
סליחה, אם אני תשים ספליטר S1, 1 ו-8, ספליטר 2, אותו דבר 1 ו-8, אין בעיה, 64 טופולוגיה לפורט.
כן.
אם אני רוצה שני וריאנטים, 4 ו-16, 16 ב-S1, אני קיבלתי טופולוגיה 16 ל-8, זה 128 לפורט.
He's saying that he took 1 to 4, 1 to 16 first level splitting, and then he put 1 to 8 on the second level splitting, and the system allowed for 1 to 16 on the first level and 1 to 8 on the second, bringing it up to 128.
Even selecting that option.
Yes.
Okay.
כן, איפה select options вот этот לפורט? 64, 100, עוד משהו. איפה option זה?
תכף. שנייה, דימה. So, Daniel, the top level constraint on the splitting level, where do we define it? The OLT or at the building?
You defined it in for the house. You define it here in the building endpoint. In the building, you put here dimension and you define the maximum splitting ratio.
Okay, and what happens if we do range mapping?
Range mapping, that means you have distance maximum splitting ratio. So this is from the OLT. So for example, if you say from 0 to 2 kilometers, splitting ratio is 1 to 16 or 1 to 108.28, for example. If it's 5 kilometers from 2.1 meters to 5 kilometers, you have 1 to 32. So it's like you define, I think it's called step values. right?
Yes, yes, but I see only distance 0 plus and then splitting ratio maximum. How do we fill the table?
Okay, so it's saying 0 to let's say, right? 32, for example. To 64. I think, you know, I'm pretty sure, well, actually, this would be the opposite, right? Because you have to decrease the splitting ratio, for example, and like this. And then when you have here, the last option would be 3000 plus. And then you can put here 1 to, you know, your final option. 2, for example.
4.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, you need to try this. You can also do it for dB per kilometers and all that attenuation. So
Okay.
yeah, we can, yeah. If you have the rules, I can try it to configure it and send it over to you.
We will share with you the rules. No problem.
And okay, so what I was gonna do here. Okay, 1, 2, and infrastructure. I'm gonna import because I need the input data to do this pre-processing as I showed you. I'm gonna import delete this and delete this one. Yeah. And I'm gonna import my layer as if it was input data, right? So it's called string clean edit shapefile.
This file, the serif intersection.
Yes, because I want to add the filter. If I don't have the input data in the source, like this case, if I have the SDProsh without the input data, I cannot do anything, right? So I will add a filter. This is called split lines at intersections. Add it, okay. And here I'm going to delete this one and this one. Okay, let's see why I cannot do it. And it. Okay, let me see if I have the input layer. Indeed. Yeah. My source is strand clean edit. And I'm going to add the filter. So it's gonna take some time. I hope that the project doesn't crash. And how do you create the drops and the strength clean edit? Because if you can create the point or the intersection outside star, that would be even.
אני יודע למה ככה.
Uh,
זה פייל קצת בעיה.
he's saying, he's saying that there is a problem with the file. He knows why.
Okay.
שם יש קובץ פס, זה טוב.
You can use the file named path. Path clean edit, maybe. Should be okay.
Where okay. But how can I?
דימה, מה השם של הקובץ?
זה קובץ, אני יודע מה זה בעיה. זה אקספרימנט. צריך קובץ פס. שם אין הרבה ליינים.
Check a file name starting with path, Daniel.
Yeah, but I don't have the input data. Can you send me the folder with the input data by mail?
דימה, אתה יכול לשלוח?
במייל. כן. יש QGIS.
לא, אין לו גישה, דימה, תשלח לו במייל.
אני יודע מה לעשות שם.
זה שאתה יודע זה בסדר, תשלח לדניאל עכשיו
שם
במייל
צריך
את הקובץ.
אינטרסקשן ב-QGIS ו-delete double line.
בסדר, בסדר. תשלח לדניאל את הקובץ פס עכשיו.
כן, אבל אני במכונית.
אתה באוטו, אוקיי. So,
כן.
אוקיי.
אבל אני יכול, קומפיוטר שלי שם עובד. עכשיו, אני...
דניאל, דימה,
מחובר אינטרנט, נוטבוק. כן, עכשיו רגע. עוד כמה דקות.
תשלח לו אחר כך בערב.
כן, כן, עכשיו.
This is the path, yeah. Anyway, one recommendation, if you can do the treatment before, it's even better if you do it before. Oh, okay, it's completed, you see? Because it takes some time to load. But you see that when I do the intersection, if I check this, you see that the segments are intersected. So now I can and if I select the long one, I think it was here, somewhere here. I think it was somewhere here, right? You see that now I have these segments. I can place equipment here. So I'm gonna place my pop. Somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna say example. Whole architecture. And here. Yeah, I think I need to reopen the project.
Be my guest.
Yeah, I need to. So
אני מקבל.
Yeah, I think when I reopen it, it won't take that long. It's called full architecture. Yeah, it crashed there. Yeah, and I open the map. I think I'm gonna calculate everything from scratch. So I'm gonna delete the secondary splitters with the same rules. And let's see what happens. So first, I'm gonna place my pop. So let's put it somewhere here. Architecture, I'm gonna put here, right click, mark as feeder network, right? And here I'm going to delete the elements. So I'm gonna make sure that it's mandatory. Collocate, yeah. And here, the same, mandatory. So let's see what happens. Error. Of course, I need to reload this layer because I want to delete the parent nodes. It might seem complicated, but the, the most important thing is to be organized with the layers you're using. And yeah. Okay, cables. So cabling. I have level 4. Yeah, I don't have cables by default. Later we can check the cables. So I'm gonna put here.
Okay, we just play something.
Yeah. Mm,
In the basic database that I've seen for cables, I've seen, just the list of strands and tubes. But if I want to differentiate between ADSS and armored underground cables, I just
מה
need
זה
to add them in
מייל?
that.
אני יכול עכשיו
רגע, דימה, רגע, אני שאלתי
במייל
משהו.
לזרוק קובץ.
יש לך את המייל של דניאל, לא?
שי, אני לזרוק בגוגל דיסק.
בסדר, תשלח לי לינק, אני אשלח לו.
רגע.
דניאל.
Setics planning. בסטיקס פלנינג אני לזרוק פס. קובץ.
בסדר, אין בעיה. Daniel,
Yeah.
separation between overhead and underground cables in the equipment. How do we make sure that ADSS goes to overhead and the armored goes to underground?
Yeah. Well, first your equipment database, right? You specify your cables, right? The name and all that. You need to make sure that the model number is different from overhead and underground, right? And then what you do is that you create in the cabling, you create a general rule. For example, imagine that for level 4, I have I define all the cables by default. Actually, here it's not using any closure. But once I define an infrastructure support, I can define here, and I put all the cables available. I can specify here by infrastructure. So for example, level 4, duct clean edit, right? Okay. And then here, when I have duct clean edit, I select the cables I want to use for that infrastructure, like micro cables or whatever, right?
Yes, but clean it. So I need to have different layers for overhead paths and underground paths,
Yes.
based on what you're saying.
In the cable system, you put specific rules in the level. And then, for example, here, you select, a new category is created. You see I have duct clean edit and strand clean edit. So per infrastructure, you select then the cables you want to use per infrastructure. And all the same
Okay.
goes for the splice closures.
Okay.
But you need to put a generic rule. So let's say that I want to double click and minimize this. If I want to put a rule for the feeder level 2, level 3 in this case, I have this, right?
Yes.
And then I can say, well, for duct, okay, for duct, I select the cables I want. So let's say maximum 188, right?
Okay.
Okay, and also my closures and all that.
Okay, so we need to be very careful on that. I mean, the base part would be just don't take any consideration and let the system work. But if you want to be more exact, we have to do it layer by layer and separate the layers between overhead and underground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
מצאת את קובץ? לא,
עוד לא,
שי?
רגע. עוד לא, רגע.
אהה.
Yeah, maybe. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, I think the rules for the splitters were not the best. It was an exercise, but you see that here I created automatically my S1 clusters and the S2 clusters. And these ones are as they're collocated, they are like circles, right? Because the cluster is this one. Yeah, we need to check these attributes. But I'm pretty sure it has to do with the rules I put here by range mapping. Let's see if I do this. maximum 1 to 64. And I recalculate this.
אני חושב, אפרטמנטס שם רק אחד או שתיים, לא שלוש. ברוליס 3 ופחות.
לא חשוב דימה כרגע, אני פשוט רוצה לראות מה הוא עושה פה. You've got the path files in your email, Daniel.
Oh, okay. Great.
FCP זה ככה זון, ה-S1 זה ספליטר S1. זה קצת לא נכון.
אני מנסה לראות איך עושים תהליך מההתחלה ועד הסוף כמו שצריך.
יש בעיה, אני לא קיבלתי QGIS פרויקט פייל. רק כל פיילים בלי QGIS פרויקט. אבל זה לא בעיה, אבל למה לא?
ככה אני עשיתי, מה לעשות? אני לא מבין בזה.
מתי אתה רוצה, ככה קיבלתי את רפורט, QGIS.
רגע, דימה, תן לו לעבוד, חכה עם השאלות, רגע, עם הזה, זה...
This path would be this one path. Okay, I'm gonna put it as a context layer first. Okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's way better. So you could import the path, and in another support the drop connections if you have created already the points. So I want to see something first. Here. Select all. If you can send me the Vima, the drop layer, that would be better in a separate layer. Okay, well, I selected this. Maybe I
אם
can.
את תשלח לו גם בשכבה נפרדת את הקבצים של הדרופים, בסדר?
Well, I can. I think I can. No, it's only strength. Yeah. Yeah.
hang on, let's stop for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Please get back to infrastructure tab. I want to create a simple cookbook of what we need to do in order to run a successful plan.
Okay.
You know, one by one, what are the files, the minimum files that we need, the formats that we need, etc. So we can create one on our own,
Mhm.
and you know, run a check with you on that.
Okay. So the minimum, let's say, even let's say for a greenfield project, you need the path, right? This path, and well, you imported it. As I see, the path is already split. You know, the layer is already split, so that's okay. You maybe don't need the filter, so you import the path. That's for the infrastructure, and for the architecture, you need 3 levels for the moment. I recommend you to have 1, 3, and 4, and in the first one you put the pub. This is the only mandatory node that you need. And for the S1, if you want to create them automatically, you define the minimum number of premises, maximum. If that's a rule, right? If that's a rule for you. The maximum distance, if that's a rule for you as well. And where you want to place the first splitter. If there's no rule for that, so distance or maximum number of premises, you don't modify this. But if you want to have your first splitting level, you need to put here mandatory before an upstream node. Okay.
Okay.
And another thing is that if you do this, the split one will be likely located at the same place as the pub, because as you didn't put any constraint in distance or where it's located, it will be placed in the same place as the pub.
Okay.
Right. For the FDP, so yeah, you define minimum distance, maximum distance. This is not, I mean, terminations. This is probably not that important because what you want to do here is to place them automatically with at least one termination.
Yes.
So what you can do, well, you can put here a maximum limit because it's very unlikely that you'll have more than 256, you know, in a building. But something that is useful is that you put here maximum distance of 1. That means that as the distance between the building, I'm looking it here, you know, on the from the top of the building as a user in Sttar. You have the building, right, with all the apartments, and you have here the S1.
Yes.
The S1. So if you put 1 meter, that means that the area surrounding this would be maximum 1 meter.
Okay,
So that with this you will make sure that all the endpoints will be connected to this node. You put it anywhere here, but this is for confirming that. So if you put here 1 termination minimum, it will place a secondary splitter in every building.
מצוין. Okay,
Then for the buildings, well, the same. You put here in this attribute the number of endpoints in the attribute where you have your premises located. And here, well, you define your dimensioning. Obviously, well, I think we need to look at detail here, but here if you put 1 to 64, you will make sure that that's the maximum splitting ratio.
mhm,
So that's infrastructure, your basic architecture. Then for the cabling, you can put a generic rule for all that. But if you want to specify cables for feeder and distribution, you better in the equipment database put all the description of your cables. Okay. Then
Okay.
for every level, you create a specific rule. So for example, for level 2, which is the feeder, level 2 is this this
Up to
segment.
S1, S1 to S2, okay.
Okay. Well, level 3, that's feeder. You put
Mhm.
general rule. So for all the cables you want to use, all the closures you want to use, all the branching techniques and all that. And then you put a specific rule for infrastructure. If you want to use a type of cable for underground, another type for aerial. So if you can create it here, for example, level 3, right? And you select your network, your infrastructure. So for example, if I select duct clean edit, this will show up between pub and S1, the clean edit, and duct clean edit. And then here you select from the available cables, the undergrounds, the ones you want to use for underground network.
Okay,
The same for the equipment.
okay.
And you repeat the process for the other ones. One important thing is that for the drops, are vertical cables, so maybe it's not that important. I don't know if the vertical the drops are important, but I mean, if you don't put any specific rule, it will select from the generic rules, you know. So for example, if you have, well, the cheapest one would be 144. So maybe it's better to add another type of cable, or put a specific rule for level 10, right? So if you put level 10, okay, and here you have maybe a cable of 12 or 24 fibers because you have large buildings, right? You can have this configuration, so to speak.
Okay. Now, assuming that we are running in a crazy design that has a separation between the distribution and the drop, in a way that the distribution cables are going through closures, and I don't put any S2 splitters in those closures, but I run a cable out of the closure and connect to a splitter box. And I want them collocated on the same pole, for example.
Okay. So that means an S2 on a pole, and you connect the houses You
S2 on the pole, I connect the houses with the direct lines. And
Yeah.
on that pole, I also have a distribution closure, which cannot be the S2.
So
I don't want the technicians to touch the distribution or the feeders, only the drop boxes.
right. So that means you have on a pole. Let me see if I understand. You
Two
have
boxes.
on a pole, you have here the distribution, the
Yes,
S1,
S1. Yes,
and the same pole that here you have S2,
yes,
and you have all the connected here to this S2.
yes. And
That's-
S1 is connected to S2
okay, so they are connected like this, right?
Yes.
And you don't, okay. Yeah, you will have two points located on the same pole. So that means if you have a pole here, you would have in the outputs, you would have an S1, let's say here, and you will have an FDP in the same location. Those are two different elements. And in the splice plan, you'll see them as two different elements as well.
Correct.
Now, is there a rule for doing this? For for not placing them in the house?
There
Yes,
can be, yes.
please.
Let's say that up to 40 meters from, we connect with the drop cable from the S2 up to 40 meters from the pole.
So you would here in the FDP put here maximum distance 40, right? You don't put this rule, right? Unless there's a criteria for putting both cases in one project, right? But let's say that you have connect directly to the poles, as you mentioned. You put
Okay.
here.
Yes, they can be, but let's not deal with that. Let's finish.
Okay. So 40 meters. And then yeah, and that's it. Then you can they will be placed there. Some houses connected to this one. And if you want, okay, so you want exclusively one S2. You want exclusively one S2 per pole, or for example, the one I draw. For example, let's say you have one pole here, one pole here, one pole here. You have your S2 here, right? You have an S1 here, an S2 here, and an S1 here. Sorry.
Yes.
Can this S2 serve other boxes or not? Or you would put an S2 per pole, an S1 per pole.
You will have an S1, let's say an S1 per pole, but there might be an S1 only in the first pole, and there will be some daisy chaining from one pole to the second to the third, but on the second and third you will have S2s.
I would, okay, so that means you can limit the number of sections. So you can say, for example, here maximum number of sections you can put for S1 3. So that means that you will have one section is between two punctual infrastructure from one pole to the other, right? So you could put 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, right? 3 sections. You can also limit the distance or not, or you won't limit this option here, right? So that means that you would put an S1 every 3 poles, for example.
Okay.
And if you want it in the first one, you put it upstream.
Mhm.
Yeah. If there's a more complex architecture, like dealing with MDUs and SDUs within the same project, I mean, maybe there's another configuration that is more complex. If you already know beforehand which houses you want to, in which houses you want to place the S2, maybe you can do it in 2 runs. But yeah, maybe
Okay.
if you have a sketch of that architecture, we can try to help you out with that.
Okay. So this is clear. So this is architecture cabling we have, and now we need to do a run, right?
Yeah. So yes, you need to do a run. I think it would be good if we can configure it your architecture together from scratch. Because in the previous session I showed you the basics of the project for the HLD and another demo we had. But the idea is to configure it with your own rules and with your own data. Do you think we can do it? We can do this.
I think you can do this. What I would do is I'm looking at the time, and I would say that we've got to have a 20-minute break for you
Okay.
and for us.
Okay.
I mean, we
idea.
are people after all. And I would take, a base DWG we have from Bezic as a starting point, and have you, try to take out from it both the poles and the paths and the ducts and the manholes.
Yeah.
To create the layers. And I mean, I think you have it for Bir and Maksur already.
Yes, I need to take that.
So let's use Bir and Maksur as the base as a baseline and start there from scratch. And extract from the DWG, show us how you do that, and then you already have the endpoints. We upload them, and then we create the plan.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get retrieve the data you sent me. You sent us the last time, and what is it? Okay, let me see.
About 2,000 endpoints, 2,500 endpoints.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can check that in 20 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. Great.
Sure. So let's break out for
Okay.
some time.
Good. Perfect. Well, thank you. So see you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a minute. I will record on my side as well. If I find where. Just a minute. Where is my? That's the polygon, right? If we take only
Okay. So those are neighborhoods.
only this,
Yeah.
let's do only this area. And just a minute, let me just zoom in a bit. And let me send well, where is my layer that I've done?
I have no idea. Yeah, it's not there for some reason.
No.
But I have this sub area. This is neighborhood 28 and 29, right?
Correct. And we have the pop in the center, in one of the schools.
Okay.
So I mean, that's fine for me.
Okay.
let's
So
do
yeah,
it.
okay, I'm gonna look for this input and then okay. I'm gonna take control by control, okay?
Please, feel free.
So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna create a new folder.
Somehow I see that I can't do a recording here for some reason, one reason or another. So you will please send me the recording later.
Okay, sure. So right, you see this here. I have a folder called Training March Session 3. And I have any Israel coordinate. I have all the input data. I'm gonna.
I don't see anything. I just see a yellow screen. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Actually, you're recording, I think. Well,
Am I?
I think so.
Someone is. Okay.
So I have here this. Let's check again. I have shape files. Maybe not all this is necessary.
You have the layers, but I wanted to get the DXF before that and
Yeah.
create the layers. Create them.
Yeah, no, that I don't have the sub area. Maybe I do, but I think it's apartment sub area. Yeah. Yeah, because I created 2 projects. Okay, so I'm gonna delete these endpoints. So we have OpenStreetMap.
You're
And
gonna have problems. Use Bing. OpenStreetMaps have everything in Arabic, so it's a bit difficult to.
well, only for deleting these houses, only for reference, not.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
So I select these ones. I won't include this one, right? Only this part.
Yeah, the top one.
Okay. So okay.
Yeah, you need to take. That's it. Right.
Right. So now my layer apartment sub is there. So sub area. Let me see what other layers I used. We have pop. So it's this one. So that's fine. We have pulse. Okay, so we take this pulse. So that's fine.
Manhole. And filler.
Why do I have to
I don't know.
okay. Well, anyway. So filler and manholes. So okay. I'm gonna do something before I'm gonna for this configuration, I'd like to see which layers I used as input. So this is the previous one. I used OSM center lines, poles.
How do you get the OSM center lines?
I downloaded them, so I will send it to you. So it doesn't I will send it over, okay?
Mhm.
Right, and underground. I have underground conduit between manholes and filler, and I have filler. Okay, so I only used these ones. Yeah, because in principle, manholes were not. I think I know what I did. I think manholes is the same layer, but I used it like a generic name for reusing the configuration in other areas. So okay, so we can start from the beginning. I'm gonna close this. And let's say I have my files like this. Okay, so I have training session. I have Israel coordinates. Here's where I'm going to have all my input data. So I open a
Okay.
Sttar file. Here. And I'm gonna save it in this location. Okay, Control C. Save as a config file. Right, because I want to have my rules first. So it's here, the config. Okay. Maybe I will name it. Well, it's saved like this, so I will name it project session 3. Okay.
Mhm.
So now, first I'm gonna I have only I think one application, so this is a GPON, so I can I can add it at this. We have here region IL. Yeah. The coordinate system would be this one, 2039.
Yes. Yeah.
And the currency would be shekel. So now I'm gonna start with my infrastructure. So the first, this is so here what we're gonna do is to import the OSM center lines, right?
Yes.
So I go here at source, browse, and I'll take session 3 from Israel coordinate. I'll take
Center lines.
center lines, right?
Below. No, not centralized art. I don't care. Okay.
I could, but the idea, and let's say that you want to use the same engineering rules for another area in Israel.
Mhm.
So you could have the same config file and
And you have everything inside. Okay, I
Exactly.
understand.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so we have this. Let's have a look first at the layer.
You want to break it every do a break every
Yeah,
junction, no?
exactly. Yeah, in every intersection. The thing, the question I have. So we have this, right? It's actually this area, I think. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if you have this
Yes.
extra layer, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Um,
Mhm.
with this layer, do you want to simulate the poles, or this is underground infrastructure, or what?
I want to simulate. I think we have from basic information, we have the overhead paths
Okay,
already in ground, but we can simulate as well if we want.
right. Because for the if you have the paths, the lines between poles, that's even better because you can import it as aerial, right?
Mhm.
Aerial line. But if
Yeah.
you only have the poles, you need to create the lines between poles to import the layer. I think what I did for this project was to simulate, like if the lines were on both sides of the road,
Mhm.
and from there import the poles. But I don't know if that's possible here, or we leave it.
Assume it's the same. Usually, you also have between when you see that you have two roads, and you would see that you have houses on both sides of the road. In the
Yeah.
middle between the houses, you would see another line of poles going at the back of the plot. But I mean, just for
Okay, so what should I do? Should I keep this layer as it is?
keep it as it is for now. Yes.
Okay.
Let's keep it simple.
So let's see. Check this. So I have this these layers. You see they're split at the intersection.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
if you want to maybe create poles let's say every 30 meters.
Yeah. Every 25 even.
Every 25. Okay. So another question before I do that. We have the poles layer. Well, but let's say that this is a green field, right? So I'm gonna this. So I add this filter, split lines into equal parts, add, and I put here 25.
Mhm.
Should I call this one new aerial?
Yes.
Okay. Well, switch the color. By default, it's like blue. When you put aerial, and when you put duct, it's green. And
Okay.
right. So I'm gonna close this and reopen the map to update you see. And now you see that I have every 25 meters, I have a potential pole. So this is the punctual infrastructure created by the system.
Sure.
Yeah, good. Now, what other infrastructure? So I suppose we import the docs, right? The basic docs.
Mhm.
So add pathway support, and I'm gonna select here the layer. I think it's this one. Underground conduit between manholes and feet. Let me check in the original.
Below, underground conduit between manholes first. Below, at the bottom.
Yeah. And what
This is the
so you won't use fillers?
no. First of all, you do the between manholes, and then manholes to fillers, and then you have manholes to poles.
Okay, I don't know if they're in separate in the same layer. I mean, let's check these layers in QGIS first.
Mhm.
Okay. So we have underground between manholes. Do I have a generic one? I do. So this one, right? I have
Yeah.
manholes and fillers under this one. And between manholes, right? Underground conduit. Oh,
Yeah.
let's see what we have here. Here I have underground conduit, well, between manholes and fillers.
Mhm.
Underground conduit between manholes. I think right, it's only, but the other one includes the previous layer, I think. You see?
Probably.
And
Yes.
conduit all, I think it has everything. Maybe we should include this one, manholes and fillers.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. So we have here entity layer. So let's save both to see. Right. Let's see what we have here. So
You have it on the left side. The green on the left. Yeah.
here, right?
There's not. Yeah.
Okay, so for example, well, I have this one. So external ID, this is LW polyline and name. I save this. I don't know which attribute is important, or if there's any attribute.
Needed. The PLN CG cont L under means that this is an underground path. But
Okay.
the polyline is just the description of the
Yeah.
geography from the BWG.
Right. So we keep this name here, right? I suppose.
You can dispose of the polyline.
Right. So we'll back, open properties. And then here we take this out, right? Layer. Entity, I think.
Yeah.
Not used.
No, but you have to put entity instead of layer.
In name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Check.
I was wrong.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's the other one.
Sorry.
No problem. So here it's layer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can put here perhaps underground.
Mhm.
And this one here, IRL. Yeah.
Mhm.
So right. So now we're gonna import the manholes and feelers, right?
Mhm.
So I'm gonna import here and source, browse, and I have feeler. And in feeler, I have name. So I will put here layer and external ID feeler num. Let's see. There are only 5. Maybe we'll need to see the why this is happening. So functional infrastructure, right click, general name or data source, perhaps. It seems we don't. How many entities are by default? Okay, I'm gonna add this layer as a context layer to see the original layer. Okay, so add context layer, feeler. Maybe I'll put it in red. Symbology. If I go too fast,
What is a
let me know.
hang on, what is a context layer? I
A,
lost you.
a context layer, it's any layer that you can import to that helps you to, you know, it's not input data. It helps you to visualize something in the network, in the design.
Okay. And markup.
This is a layer that allowed it's not active in this version, but it was like allowed you to write something, you know, on the map, like put in a description or something. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so the feelers are not complete, at least for this layer. You see, there's the layer is
Oh,
here.
it's not. It's very complete. In the old area of FRAT, there are very few fillers, and so it's fine.
This is fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, okay, so I do this, and now we import the manholes. Sorry, not that. At source, and we have manholes, and we do the same. So, maybe here, which one should I choose?
Manhole number should be the number of the manhole, which is the basic number, which is important for us. This is the name. Manhole number is the name. And in terms of, you can put reference number or place or whole type, whatever.
Okay. Right, so there are more here. Yeah. So, right. So you see that when you have when you have a layer like this, the lines are important in this part, linear infrastructure, and the points here in functional infrastructure. Another thing is that, for example, let's say that you have a segment, a duct like this. You have a point here, a punctual infrastructure here, here, and here. And this one coincides with the feeder location. This one coincides with the manhole, okay? And you see this one's called generated automatically. So that is when there's no reference or layer that coincides with a punctual infrastructure. So the question I have is, when you place a node, can you place it in any point that is not a manhole, either a manhole or a filler?
We put a node only in manholes or on poles.
Okay,
Fillers only endpoint connections.
right. So in that case, what you do is the following. So you see here manholes. Settings.
That's two. לא יכול לשים
I
closer.
put available capacity. That means that you can put an equipment. This is binary, so I can place an equipment and I can connect to this node, right? To this place. But for the filler, I can connect, but I cannot place an equipment, so I put 0.
Placing an equipment,
Yes.
if it's in a S2, I can put it. But if it's an S1 or a clover, I cannot.
Right, so you cannot, yeah, in Sttar, you cannot differentiate that. So if you can put an S2, you need to put here 1. Maybe with the tweaking the architecture network, we can try to privilege the placement of of one node in a specific position. But if you want to place S2 here in the filler, you need to put here 1.
Okay, fine, understood.
And here, these are generated automatically. Let me show you what they mean. I'm gonna put this again. Name or
Yeah. יש את הנתונים.
טקסט.
הוא הכין את הנתונים קודם. מה זה? זה גם טקסט, מה שאתה רואה פה. Alex was amazed to see the manhole numbers you showed earlier. How did we see them?
Okay. In functional infrastructures, you select the entity here, set label properties and general name.
Yeah.
Here's where we save it, right?
Yeah.
But who prepared the general name for you?
That's coming from basic information.
No, but it's in a separate layer in the DWG.
It doesn't matter. We did not analyze the DWG here. We are using the shapefiles after the DWG analysis. And there's another part later on. How do we analyze the DWG? Okay. You were using FME for that, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So you need to show it to us, please.
Sure. Yeah. Eventually we will. I can show you the script tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So you see that I have this point. It's a manhole. It comes from the layer manhole shape, and I have the name, right? The number. But there's some, for example, this is a default created. That means that there's no filler nor manhole here in this location.
Or the script missed the number.
Perhaps, yeah. Maybe that's yeah. It's not present. Okay.
But there is a number there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but this filler, the rectangle is a filler.
The rectangle is a punctual infrastructure that is created in this support.
Yes, I understand. It's a
And in this
logical thing,
support, you can have either a filler or a manhole.
yeah. Right.
If they don't coincide, that means that, well, it creates one automatically. So one thing that maybe the reason, I'm gonna put also the manholes as context layers to see them, right?
Mhm.
Because this is important. You have feeder, manholes, maybe I'm gonna put another color. Symbology. Let's put this color. And yeah, you see the manholes here.
Yes.
So where were we here? Default created, for example, here, this one. Here, there's no manhole, but there's a filler here, close nearby.
It's a shift, I think, on the shift on the coordinate conversions.
Okay. So one way we can tweak this, obviously it's better if we improve the projection and all that. But I'm gonna try to augment the tolerance. So if I go here and I increase this to, let's say, 9 meters, it will go.
5.
I think it was more than 7. The
Okay.
difference. Let's
Okay.
try. You see now instead of 5, you have now this.
Yes.
So if I redo this, yeah, you see now the tolerance, we increased it roughly. You see here now.
Yeah.
So 9, it's okay, I suppose. But yeah, this is something we need to check. Maybe there's an offset here. We need to check that, right? But okay. Do you have any question so far?
So far, I understand the context layers.
Mhm.
I understand the imports that you've done. We currently have imports of fillers, manholes, ducts, roads,
Yep.
and we set up automated pole creation.
Yep.
And now we need to bring in buildings, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So we define now the network architecture. So I'm gonna save my project.
Mhm.
So now I'm gonna import my yeah, we can start with the endpoint. So endpoint support. So at source, and I think it's an apartment or apartment sub. I think it was apartment sub, right? That yeah, this is the one we modified just before. Let me see first the layer. Yeah, this one, right? So I'm gonna change the symbols just for the sake of the example. Maybe I'll put this in black. Ellipse. Smaller. Maybe here too. And I put this in black. Anyway. So, and I now I need to select from here I suppose it is important to have, well, first the house number, right? For the premises. And here for the name, street name, house, apartments. I don't, okay, I don't remember which is the attribute. So let's import this layer as well as context. I mean, you can do this also in QGIS, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Apartment sub, right? And in apartment sub, I right click, select all, attribute table. This is like if I were seeing the layer in QGIS, right? QGIS.
Yes.
House number, no, I think it's apartments is the attribute that contains the number of apartments, obviously. Building ID. I think this is the one. Remember that in sometimes there was we took like the points and we added 4 houses randomly, right? Because that was it was not in the original shapefile. So I suppose we take apartments as input, and what else for the apartment? Is it important for you to have the apartment, the house number or something like this?
Apartments is important, and the unique ID is important,
Okay,
or building ID.
right.
by the unique, איפה המספר של נורקום? 060?
Okay.
should be the unique ID.
מתחיל ב-1,060. It starts with 1,
אין
0,
שם,
6,
אין
0.
שם, לא חשוב. Use the unique ID.
Okay, so I'm gonna put here external ID, right? ID.
אבל זה assumption שלהם מההתחלה של 4 דירות.
לא חשוב, אלכס, זה בדיקה. זה עכשיו דמו איך הוא עושה את התכנון מאפס.
ואתה תדע לטעון אחרי זה בקובץ
ניתן קובץ אחר.
Right.
But in the data, in the layer, you said 1 per building or whatever. Where was it? In the apartment.
No apartments. Not one. You have other options. You have 1 per location, 0. But here, this is the attribute that contains the number of apartments per building.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And so split the ratio and all this not used, not used, not used, or what? Why isn't it used?
These are, for example, if there's in the original layer, you have a maximum split ratio or something, you can import it and it will take it as input data for calculating the network. Name and external ID are not considered for the routing or the clustering or the dimensioning. But this is important,
Okay.
so taken as input. And another thing is that, for example, if you parent node, if let's say, imagine you have a project where you already know your S2, and if the S2 service area, and you say, for example, a house is served by S2 number 2, right? And if you have this in the attribute, you can import it. But
and then you will take it into consideration when planning. Okay.
Exactly. But
understood.
Yeah, in this case, we're calculating everything from scratch, all the automatic, right? Okay.
אתה מבין? אתה יכול לעלות שכבה של רשת קיימת, ועכשיו תכנן תוספת.
So the question I have, are we going to create an architecture with POP, S1 and S2?
Yes.
And okay. Well, I'm gonna create this and then we continue. So this is POP. If there's a more complex architecture, we'll have a look. So again, the POP, you can import it. That's an option, or you can manually add it to the to the network. Actually, we do have it, right? We forgot.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have pop. Yeah. So here we have. Yeah, I think this was in a Hebrew, so I
Use the pop. Let's see what
yeah, it
happens.
should be this one perhaps.
That's Hebrew. You don't support Hebrew.
Yeah. Let's see what we have there in the attribute.
The pop moved. The pop moved. It's not there. It's if you take at the end of the green line where you have when it circles back. No.
I'm sorry,
It's fine. I mean, leave it there. It doesn't matter. Leave it there.
this one.
Yeah, leave it there. We'll fix it later.
Okay, but which is the pub you wanted to use? This one.
No, the one there. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So one thing is that you could in the input data. I mean, if we run the design, as there are no surrounding endpoints here, this will be like empty pubs, obviously, and this one as well.
Mhm.
But if a good practice would be to separate beforehand the pubs, right? So leaving a single one for the area you wanna design. But well, here's okay if they want this one be used. Okay. So
לא, זה 18, 28, 29.
I have the pub. For the pub topology, I have 40 meters to a new aerial or underground. I suppose it's connected only directly to the underground network, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna do this. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I check my connection, here, nodes, well, apartment, this one. No,
You need to have pop.
yeah.
There you have it.
No, it's underground, yeah. And apartment. So where is the closest? Yeah, it's more than 50, you see. So
So add it. Increase it to 70.
yeah.
מבין כמה צריך לשים לב לדברים?
Yep, good. Okay. Now let's create our second node.
And
Level
SC without splitters.
SC. Yeah, splice closure. Yeah, so this is why not? This is a good practice. And we create number 3. So this is S1, right?
Yes.
S1. A question. So do you want to use your own equipment? Or we use the one by default?
Use the default.
So I'm going to do this equipment database. Okay, this is open. I'm going to import, and I have when I install Sttar, I have this folder created automatically, and equipment libraries, and I'm gonna import all this equipment. So splitters. You see?
Yeah.
Now closure. Well, no, that's not important. Cables. And cabinets. So for the cabinet, it's yeah, I mean, I only have the biggest one is this one.
Right.
Maybe we need to add another one, a bigger size. Well, so for the okay.
What's the 1000 or 500T?
That's the number of terminations.
Ah, okay.
But you know, we have already more than 1,000, way more. So maybe I'll create one by myself, you know?
GPON you don't need. 1,000 is fine.
But you have a very dense area.
I know, but it's GPON. So you have 1,000 divided by 64.
Okay, well, the thing is, it's not like
I mean, add the 2,000 one. No problem. Add the 2,000.
it's yeah, it's the number of terminations.
Mhm.
So let's call it UCB. Well, let's put 10. The thing is that I understand your logic, but the software doesn't know about the splitters. You know, it's a blank page.
Sure.
Right? So it's based on the number of terminations in total.
Okay.
So right, so let's put here.
Put the price of 20,000.
Yeah.
And the number of network terminations, 10,000.
Yep.
Okay.
And yeah, so good. So actually, let me see here in project. You see, we have terminations here. It's
3,000 for
total sum of apartments, you see? So
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean, we could have used 4,000, but well, that's fine.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put here in my pub, and the cabinets are added here in equipment. So I select this one. And for my S1, I'm gonna put here in dimensioning first, 1 to 4, right? It's a splitter.
It's going to be 1 to 8.
1 to 8.
1
Okay.
to 4, 1 to 4, 1 to 8.
Okay. And which rules do we put for dimensioning? Is it based on number of terminations per cluster? Is it based on distance or doesn't matter?
Number of termination doesn't matter.
Okay, so if I leave
Just
this,
leave mandatory upstream, that's it.
yeah. Now let's go with the S1.
No, you need the SC as well. You didn't touch the SC.
Yeah. So SC, so that's well, we can put mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
And it will create one automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, it's gonna
Equipment, you don't need to select.
I'm sorry.
You don't need to select the equipment of the SC.
No, actually the SC. So I can explain you why we put the SC. When we have dense areas, is only this. Actually, this is a node that we put in the configuration for limiting the feeder cable. And in general, we put this SC manually. So for example, if you have a sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. So if you have, for example, your OLT and you have your, I'm gonna put it in blue. You have your pub, right? And you have a number of S1 like this. and you have, for example, another branch here, the software might do this. Put a cable and another cable from here to here. But maybe what you want to do is to force a specific cable and splice it in the middle. Maybe,
Yeah.
right? What you'd like to do is to do this, and at some point in a chamber, splice here and splice here, and having one single cable here.
Correct.
So what we do, this is like a workaround we found, is that we put automatically, manually, an SC. We put it here, the SC, and we say this is the parent node of this node, of these nodes and these nodes, and we put a specific type of cable between level 1 and 2, so it would be spliced. So this is a workaround we found. So that's why sometimes we leave this, especially when there are very dense areas. And in general, we don't put the, I mean, the thing is that here in the passive architecture tab, you specify the cabinet, right? But here, this is not a cabinet, this is a splice closure. So the splice closures are selected in the cable system, are placed here, the equipment. Okay, so here I don't want a cabinet, I just want a splice closure, so I'll put it later.
Okay.
Same for S1, right? Now we continue here, S2. So S2, do I have rules for this? So what is your rule for S2 for the second splitter?
What are the rules for the second splitter?
Minimum
Minimum 2 fibers coming in. It can be 1 to 4, 1 to 8, 1 to 16.
And okay.
And let's say for the current run, I want them on poles.
Okay, 1 to 8, 1 to 16, and
1 to 4.
1 to 4. Okay. You don't want, you want them on exclusively on poles.
We can, hang on. We can also have 1 to 32.
Okay. Right. So what is the maximum size? The cluster size would be
64.
64.
Hang on. Maximum cluster size that is served by one box?
Yeah.
32.
Okay. So you can have max 1 splitter per box.
Yeah.
Okay. So well, let's try to put 32 as much as possible. And the drop connection maximum?
The drop connection 50 meters.
50 meters. And you want them only on poles, right?
Correct.
So here, right? So I deactivated this one, so they will be on poles, only on poles. Yeah, we'll check this one, and in principle, this is okay. And the S1s can be placed in both, right? On both, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Now the cables. So for the cables, first, where the feeder network is until S1, right?
Yes.
So right click, mark as feeder network.
What did you mark now?
The feeder network. So in the BOM, you'll have
Yes.
you will see that.
You just selected it, or what did you do?
Okay.
Right click.
Right click, mark as feeder network.
Okay.
So you put
And
it
for
in the box you want.
Also for POP and SC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the feeder is from the POP till the first splitter, right? Then you have the distribution.
Correct.
Okay. So cabling. Right. So I'm gonna add a parameter for line level 2. So let's say from the POP to the SC. Okay, which cables would you use for the feeder part?
From 48 and up.
144, you mean?
48, 96, 44, 144, 288.
Okay. So we can select the closures.
288. 144, 288.
Yes. And here you can select if you don't select anything, that would be like a star. So maybe you enable mid span joints and branch.
Yes.
Yeah. Level 2.
That's it.
Level 3, sorry. So that's for the S1. So I guess the same cables, right?
Yes. That's for a distribution?
For the feeder, it's still S1.
Okay, yes.
Right. So I mean, until we put this
For the feeder, SC and S1, and you can also put 24.
okay. Okay. All the cables. Yeah, maybe 36 and okay. Now level 3 and level 4. So that's the distribution part. We have here what cables for the distribution?
And the distribution, you would have 48 and up and down, 48, 24, 12, 6.
Okay. So I will also do this to have a splice and 48, 24.
24, yeah.
Good. And for my drops, level 10. Do you want specific rules per distribution? Well,
Yes.
we say poll, so yeah. I don't think it's necessary, so we will place these cables on IRL, mostly IRL.
Yeah, mostly are aerial, but they will be smaller because this is the drop. It's from level 4 to 10.
Yeah, so for level 10,
well, you will have 12 and 6.
Yeah.
12, 6, 2. That's it.
Yep. Another thing that I thought about. So let's you see that here for the infrastructure we have aerial 50 and underground 50. Is there any reason to set up a priority?
I'd rather be with the underground first, but I mean, at this point, let's not.
Okay. So I have my cables. And well, I think it's okay. Let's see if there's something we miss. Okay. So I'm gonna run it.
Please,
Let's see if we forgot something.
you forgot to save.
You're right. And now I'm gonna run it.
You should have a 15-minute autosave automatically done.
Yeah, I'll tell the team about it. Right. So I created my nodes, and here we will see some things. And if there's something strange, we will analyze it. So I have my network.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna class my cables. Maybe the model number, right? So drops, I'm gonna put them in black.
Mhm.
24 in green. Well, it's here. And 48 in blue, perhaps. Is it okay, or am I going too fast?
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. We're not yet colorblind, so it's okay.
Okay, good. Right. And I'm gonna put my nodes on the top. So you see the black, the red ones are the S2.
Mhm.
And if I show the service areas, voter node, you see them, right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna select the premises. And well, you see here, you have 32, 3, so yeah, depends.
Okay.
And the no endpoints, I'm gonna put them here. And let's see the level 3. I have, obviously I have one because I didn't put any limits. And my okay, yeah. I wanna have my, yeah, this is better. I wanna see the real names here. SC, S1, and all that. Right, so I have my pub. I have my SC that is located in the same place. And I have my S1 because, well, I didn't put any constraint on the location. And yeah. If we analyze the outputs here, net nodes, network sections, net nodes, and I select this point, you have 3 features. And I will select the attribute table. And I have these, you see, these are the nodes I have. The first one is the pub. Then I have the SC. You have here the support. And you have the S1. Okay. And you have here 24 splitters of 1 to 8.
Okay.
If I select, for example, another one here, this is an S2. Sorry. So I selected one. I have how many premises? 4. And I have a splitter of 1 to 4. Yeah, indeed, because the distance here, you can see, you can check the distance if you select network sections, net endpoints, and I select my endpoint here. I see the principal, this is the distance, principal distance to the OLT, and to the superior node is subdist. Subdist. So it's 24 meters to the S2, this endpoint. Okay. Do you have any question?
Fine. This is fine for now. I understand. It is clear. Let's move to the next step in the process,
Yeah.
which is reporting.
Yes. So I'm gonna save this as SE proj.
First
Right.
configuration, then
Yeah, because I'm saving my results here in SE proj, Sttar project.
Okay.
And I'm gonna create, well, okay, so export. And I'm gonna look at this file. So here, I'm gonna create an output file. Okay. Output folder. Control C. Control V. And I will export the fiber splicing plan. The shape files. Okay.
Cabling diagram, infrastructure tree.
Yeah, all that. Because these are important also for the fiber connectivity. If you want to import this directly to Lepton, you know, so these are important files. Cabling diagram. The cabling diagram, I will export it, but for the sake of the example, not level 10, because if not, it's gonna take forever. More than 3,000 connections. So for the example, I'll put only until level 4, okay? And yeah, fiber connectivity report, and well, all these shape files, so you can see them. Yep, and summary report.
What are the plugins?
These plugins, so this réseau, GraphTHD, that's a format used in France. It's a format for exporting data. You know, it has a very specific things. It's a it's a total mess actually. They try to have a standard for the whole country, but each region has its own nomenclature. So well, we try to do something, but yeah. And the other, this is used in Germany. It's similar to GraphTHD, but it's used in Germany.
Okay. What about?
Yeah.
You said end, so why we wait with my question?
And well, there are some other plugins that we can export to inventory systems automatically when we have partners like this, you know. So we have special exports like this.
for example, for what's the name, Vitruvi and others?
Vitruvi is no, we don't have an integration with them like this. I think they take the outputs and they import it directly. But for example, with with the Keycom, you know, the Finnish guys.
No.
But there's a Finnish in physics PNI, and so we have an integration with them. And so what we do is that we select that option, you know, Keycom version X, I don't remember, and all the outputs are adapted to their system, so we can import even fiber connectivity directly into the system.
FNT?
FNT, no, I think the ones we have directly are Vetro system and Keycom. I don't know if there's another one with a German company, but I need to ask my colleagues. I think that there's another.
FNT, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, let's see if we will see if I can import this into Lepton. Let's see.
Yeah. Yes, I mean these are shapefiles, so that should be possible. But maybe what is important to have the fiber connectivity is trying to import this. This is a CSV file, right? So I think we forgot to export the link budget report, so I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
So set to now. Yeah, yeah, that's better. Export. And here, if you see, we have these exports. So let's check a cabling diagram. Right? So you have this. Okay, all that. Yeah, so I mean, if I had added the last level, you know, the drop would be, it would take hours.
Really?
You have almost 4,000 endpoints premises, you know, so it's another box per house. I don't, well, maybe hours, I'm exaggerating, but it will take a long time, you know, so yeah.
Okay, so this is the street pass for me. Okay.
But maybe here it's important for you to have the last S2, and then when your customers connect to the house, that's what you need. You know, maybe the distribution part only. I don't know.
We first do the distribution and then we start connecting. So then I don't know what to do.
Well, you can export the level 10. So what?
Only level 10.
You export it and then you get some coffee. I tell you, because yeah, it's gonna take some time. For 4,000.
Sometimes 1 hour, 15 minutes, 1 day.
Okay, let's do something. I'm gonna export it. And
No. Don't hang the system now. I'm just asking.
I don't know, honestly. But
okay.
Yeah.
When you click on templates, what do I see there? On the other page in the Excel. I have main and then I have template. What's on the template?
This is the template of how you want the boxes to look.
Is it possible to change anything there?
It is possible. I don't know in how it works with cabling diagram. But for Spliceband, I will show you. So you have report templates, cabling, for example, legacy complete light.
My version, it's empty. I have nothing there.
Are you sure? When you install Sttar?
I think so.
Check in C. That's I would be very surprised. And document Setics Sttar, you should have these two files.
Let me check for a minute.
In documents.
And see, you're saying?
Yeah, in documents, the documents folder.
Documents, download Setics Sttar, report templates. I see it. Okay, I have it. Fine.
So I haven't used this light one, but okay. I'm curious. Let's see if we can export this. So if I export the cabling diagram option, template, and no, sorry, report templates, light. Let's see.
Something's working.
Yeah. Look. So where is my?
Straight one, the first one.
Yeah. So it's here. Section 3, output. This is the most recent one.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the live version. So you have only the name, the equipment, and then you have you don't have every detail for every single cable. So you see,
Right.
that's how you select the template. And the same goes for the same goes for the splice, right? So what you can do is if there's a color code, I will show you, for example, this is one used in the UK. Right? If you have your own color code, you can use it, you can import it like this. All the colors, and then
Standard one. I'm using the standard one, but I think that the the 13 to 24 has a black line across it, something.
I think we used similar one for Croatia. I don't have. I will have a look, but I think we did something for Croatia. A project in Croatia, they have like a I will set it over. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's another report that you showed me on the project summary that you've done something with the UK.
That's
UK-based template.
Yeah, but that's yeah, the VOQ template, but that template is outside from Sttar. So what we did is that we created based on what they wanted, right? Like like an Excel file. And yeah, maybe I will where do I have this? Let me see. I think it's in the share folder. Let me check.
Yes. Hey, guy. Just a minute, I need to open the door here.
Okay, no problem.
With you. I'm back.
Okay, so here, this is I put it in the share folder, right? So this is a template that we created for a client in the UK. Actually, they sent it over, right? And because it was a custom bomb that, I mean, it's not the same produced by Sttar. So what we did here is try to fill the information with the the information coming from Sttar. So for example, if you wanted to know a node that had one primary splitter, two primary splitters, and all that, we say, okay, in which layer can you find this information? So for example, 3 primary splitters, you can find it in the layer net nodes, in the attributes splitters. So here you have the number 1, 2, 3, so this is how by using FME, we completed the bomb once they finished the design. Right, so this is how it works.
Okay, so a bit of an issue. Okay, we will have to see how we adapt it, because the report is super. I mean, this is exactly what we are looking at.
But something you need to do yourself is put because this is equipment used in the UK, but maybe you have a specific cable, you don't use docks, for example. So try to adapt the material, right? The material list. And from there, you can have equipment costs, build costs, and well, PIA. This is would be basics, right? And from there, once you have the template, we can go and say, okay, this information you can find it in this layer, in this attribute, or whatever,
Yes. Yes. Okay. So this is, I mean, that's fine. I mean, we leave this bomb and let's go to the report, please. To the reports back. Let's look at the splicing.
Yeah, 1 second. Here it is.
And this comes for every node by itself.
Yep.
And where is the summary for this Excel?
The summary.
Yeah, like, there are X nodes here, X splices, X pass through, X branch points, whatever.
Good question. I don't know if we produce this.
Okay.
Wait. No.
In the short, in the project summary, probably. Okay.
In the project summary, yes, exactly. Let me see. Summary report. Yeah, exactly. So BOQ, BOM. So you have here per level, the number of splices per each type of box, right?
Yeah.
And all that.
So I have here 476,000 shekels for the distribution. How much for the drops? Another half, 700,000. Nice. Okay. Where's my cost per home connected?
All drops. So remember, all these are arbitrary values. So yeah. It's kind of like this here.
See the distribution, all drops in total. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Obviously, if you
Okay.
this is something that I don't think it was needed in the BOM for them, but you know,
Mhm.
I mean, this could be added if you need to. This could be added in another I don't know, another
Page or
column or
whatever.
something, yeah.
Sure.
Because this is
Um,
probably from arbitrary values, you know. But if you have the actual cost of a network and you divide it per home pass, that's you know, a simple thing to get.
Mhm. Okay. Let's total fibers in cable 3,371 kilometers. Ooh. Fine. Let's get back to the plan. You know, to the Setics software.
Yeah.
Save the project, and
Yeah.
then let's create another optimization based. We change the rules.
Okay.
We don't change the data, just the rules.
Right. So I'm gonna save as what rule? Well, I don't know. Maybe B2.
Yeah.
B2, and it's a configuration file. And what rule do you want to change?
Okay. I want to move the S2 into the buildings.
All the buildings.
Mhm.
So I put this here. S2 placement. Well, first I mean, if I close the project and I reopen it, this won't be present, right? Because these were calculated by the software. But as it's still open, I'm gonna delete them, delete elements, right click, delete elements, and I'm gonna recalculate my entire network. Okay. And I'm gonna reload this layer, right click, reload data source. And let me check something. Yeah, that's good. Performance. And I'm gonna put here S2 placement. I'm going to activate this one.
Rocket with endpoint. With at least 4 terminations.
Okay.
And have with at least 4 terminations. And maximum distance by infrastructure 15 meters, that's fine.
50, yeah.
Leave it. I don't want to change this.
Mhm.
I want to change only one thing.
Okay. And we run.
Mhm. Takes time, huh?
Come on, not that much. You'll see in the summary results. It's 84%, so yeah.
Close them up, open it again.
1 minute, 29 seconds. Not bad, right?
Mhm.
So you see,
I see.
and if I select here, no, net endpoints, and I put here premises. You see here 5, 6, 4, 4, you know,
Mhm.
S2s are located there.
Okay. Let's look at the summary report for a minute.
So I'm gonna save it in another folder. I
put V2.
Yeah. Summary. All this. Cabling diagram. This one.
Mhm.
Splicing plan, fiber connectivity, link budget, and all the GIS layers. Yeah. You see, this is the one that takes longer, so.
What's interesting for me is to open both one by one and see what's the difference in terms of cost.
You mean, oh, okay. Right, yeah. Yeah, because we didn't change any parameter.
The only thing we change is moving the S2 into the house.
Yeah.
Which means that we have some more, I don't know, 6 fiber or 12 fiber.
Mhm.
But let's drop.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now just humor me for another thing. While the system is running. Assuming you saw the POPs that we have in RAD. Assuming that I want to run a design that connects all POPs in a loop.
Yeah.
Do I need to do this manually? Can I do it, it's going to be just, layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. That's it.
We
just feed the network.
The feeder, yeah, we have a process for that. It's a different configuration. Okay. For the radio network, we have a different configuration.
Okay. In the software or in the files?
No, it's a method that we created ourselves with the software. Basically, what you do is that you create the first node, and you put the rest of the POPs as level 2, 3, or 4 as you want. And you connect the first POP that you put in the input. So yeah, while it's finishing, you have POP number 1, right? Level 1. And the same POP, you put it as level 10. So you put intermediate nodes, right? Like POP 2, POP 3, POP 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is that
Mhm.
you say mandatory. So that means that you need to connect, that they will be connected mandatorily, like this.
Mhm.
Okay. And so
Yes.
there are some of other things you need to do, but you know, small details, but this is how you can configure it. And yeah, you set up the priorities for infrastructure, and then yeah, you create the. This is one way, you know. For example, in the States, they do something like this. In Indonesia, they have other principle because they connect antennas. You know,
Mhm.
so depending on how you plan to do it, but we do have a method for creating the ring network.
Okay, so basically, you're saying that they have antennas. So what do they do? Just I'm learning now.
Because as I understand, in Indonesia, in some cases they have the base stations. So if they're very well, it's not the case for Israel, but they have areas that are very isolated with not many houses. So they rather place an antenna to serve some areas that are isolated because it's too expensive
Yes.
to build FTTH.
Mhm.
So what they do is that maybe they use the location of a BTS. They build fiber around, so they place a pub or something here, and then for the rest of the houses, they use the antennas. So yeah.
Okay. Now, assuming that if I just need to do the connection between 1, 2, 3, 4, and back to 1 on the 10th level, I will get maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 fibers connected, and that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, assume that I have between 1 and 2, and 2 and 3, I have closures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that can be SC or can be S1.
You would,
Then what?
yeah. Well, what you will do is, for example, you have one here, one closure,
Yeah.
and you have another closure. This will be level 2. This will be level 3. This will be level 4. And then, I mean, you put the nodes in between as nodes to reuse their locations.
Okay.
There, I think in this, yeah, there are up to 12 points or 12 nodes that you can add in the architecture. And I will double check, but I think there are up to 12. And yeah, up to 12 nodes, but I'll double check. But that's
Okay.
how you would do it.
Okay, and then I can just connect, I can decide that I do a drop either from pop number 2 or pop number 3 through node 4, for example. So we need to play with that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we have this exported.
Yeah, so so I'm gonna open this one again to compare it. And we have here output v2.
Summary.
So this is the drops, and this is way less expensive.
No, but the feed and distribution is more expensive.
Indeed. So what do you prefer? Your customers to pay the drops or you?
No, hang on. I'm looking here. It's
Yeah.
and here it's 360. I mean, the first one is cheaper than the second.
Because the distribution.
Total connection.
Yeah, because in the first one, let's say you have a line like this. You have your S2 here, here, and here.
Mhm.
And what is left here, these are the drops, right?
Mhm.
But in the
Yes.
second case, you have the cables here, distribution that go to the nodes. The nodes are here. So these extra segments are considered distribution. And you have the drops vertically, so to speak, like here.
Yes.
So you add these segments.
Okay.
So you have more cable considered as distribution than.
Yeah.
Yeah, significantly more. It's almost twice.
Mhm.
Okay, but this is on the poles and this is on the roof.
No, this is also poles, but you bring the box into the building and then connect.
Maybe here there's in this pole, maybe there's an S2 that connects houses with less than 4 premises, perhaps. And this has a double function. So it's for drops, but also for a branch, to reach 1 billion. That could be the case. Or maybe in some cases you have a splice closure you don't use to connect anyone, but only for the branching, like this.
Right.
Yeah.
And many more cables, much more cabling in the second one.
It's basically the same cabling, but you put it on a different cost.
Let's see the cumulative cost comparison. The page on the it's yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, cumulative cost here, in here.
Yes. 1 second.
That's the optimization. Ugh.
Yeah. So this is the total cost.
Mhm.
And here, my bad. Yeah. What did I do? Oh yeah, here.
It's a bit more expensive, not a lot. And hang on. I'm on the percent minimal cost. What's the right column, which is called percent minimal cost?
I think, I'm not sure. I have to double check, but I think the minimal is this, and this is the difference. The percentage of difference between this item and the base, perhaps. You see, you have.
Cost per, I see. It's the cost per home pass.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this is the base. This is the lower 340.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was just comparing. If I wanted to do an optimization, let's say for a cost per home pass, I want to put a target of 300. Can the system run an optimization for me and suggest the solution?
Not directly, but we can do something. We could. So, as a reference, we did something similar for like what you said for a customer in Estonia. So what we did is that we analyzed the net endpoints and symbology. Well, we didn't do it directly in Sttar, but you know, this type of analysis. Was it? Premises cost. I think it was price per FC. I think it was this one. So we have like a heat map.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was this attribute, but you know, it's a cost per premise. Per premise FC, I think it was. It's not only about the cost per premise, but also the cluster. There's an attribute. I need to have that. And when you do the analysis, you can check this. We also have other tools, external tools that we have developed around Sttar that help you do that, like the phaser tool and yeah. You haven't seen the phaser tool, right? I think I told you about it.
You said, but we haven't seen it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe after the training I can prepare a demo to the team.
Sure.
So you can see, yeah. But it's like
I did not see this.
You did not see this
I did
because
not see this.
Alex, this is we took the center lines of the roads from OpenStreetMap, and we did an arbitrary decision that we put a pole every 25 meters, and this is what you see.
Ah, that's not Bezek.
That's not Bezek at all.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
It's just you know, passing phase or test or whatever.
But you know, the regular regular practice, or you know, that we do is that we try to have a very robust configuration and then extract the data to get the proper BOM. You know, because sometimes, for example, if I want to force the system to select an architecture, an infrastructure, maybe even if it's not the real cost, I need to put it properly so the system takes the right path, the path I want. So sometimes it's not good to work with real cost, but with virtual cost, and then you can extract a BOM from the outputs. Yeah. Okay, so this is taking but yeah, so I mean, we have all the indicators in the different layers, and from there we build BOMs and heat maps and all that. I don't remember which attribute I used for creating the heat maps, but I will check.
Okay, that's fine. How are we with time?
It's 5:20, so yeah, we're supposed to stop at 5. So yeah, it's okay. 20 minutes more.
Okay.
Yeah, so for
For
tomorrow,
me,
what I can send you all this, so you can have a look on your side tomorrow morning. If you have time.
I will.
And maybe in the afternoon we will show, well, we obviously will have more questions and all that, but maybe we'll take some time to show you some manual modifications on the map. So I mean, if you go into the detailed design phase at some point, you know how to do it.
Okay, so first of all, this is very important, and also very important for me is FME. And
Okay.
I will send you. I will send you. I think you have the XF files that I've sent you.
Excellent.
But let me send you a file.
Yeah.
You know, and let's look at the script that you have been running and see how we can utilize the same.
Why don't we do tomorrow?
Okay.
why don't we do a test for us? That we do the so,
Mhm.
and then we analyze the results with him or improve the results with him.
So you want to delay tomorrow?
I don't think we'll be ready by
Sunday is not working.
Friday.
Mhm. דניאל, אנחנו כאילו שבוע, next week is going to be terrible for us because it's Passover Eve and we have a lot of you know, festivities and going into some vacation.
Yeah.
So I would want, Alex was suggesting to have another session where we are doing a full design by ourselves,
Mhm.
and then
We're doing a test and you're correcting us.
and you will be you know correcting us.
Okay.
So if it is possible, you know, to split tomorrow into two parts. Let's say one part is let's say about 2 hours or so, you know, going through manual and going through FME, and another 2 hours after we have run by ourselves the design, and we present it to you, and you do
Okay. Yeah.
you correct us.
Okay, so yeah, that's fine. The only problem is that well, next week I won't be available either because I'm traveling to Italy with the company. We are doing I'm doing another activity with them, with the company. But actually that will be for the next 2 weeks. And then we have the FTTH conference.
Ah, shit, I forgot to order my flight tickets and hotel.
Okay, so good. So
Okay. Thank you for reminding me.
no problem. So
We will do tomorrow 4 hours, and then I'll find a way to have another hour with you after that.
okay, but I mean the thing is, tomorrow, well, there are 4 training hours left. We can have 2, and maybe I mean I think I can do the final session on the on the Monday the 17th. Or do you really you need to have this ready as soon as possible?
Hang on, Monday the 17th. Let's see if we are even available.
When are you going to Spain? On the 18th, or
I don't know yet.
okay.
I don't know yet. At this point, it looks like Monday afternoon should be okay.
Monday 17th.
17.
Monday, sure, sorry about that. Monday the 17th. Monday the 17th should be okay in the afternoon, yes.
Okay, so
we can have a couple of hours tomorrow and set another couple of hours for Monday the 17th of April.
Is it
That's
fine
fine
by you if I leave you 2 weeks for working yourself? Or well, actually it would be 1 week, right? Because you're not working the next week.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
That's why we do 2 hours tomorrow on the manual detailed design.
Yeah.
And FME, and we do 2 hours on a we present and you correct.
Okay, perfect. I'll be in Spain, so I'll try to I will confirm you those hours, but I think we can set up already the call for Monday the 17th. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Right. Okay, great. So okay, so I'll send you this also if you want all these both configurations, and then we continue tomorrow. Okay.
Sure. And don't forget to share the recording, because I've recorded only a part.
But I think you have the record. Let me know, and I will send it over in any case.
I need the first part before the break.
Okay, right. So yeah, I'll send everything. No problem.
All right. Daniel, you're a master, and thank you very much for the time invested in us.
No problem. My pleasure. Yeah. Great.
It was ours as well. Thank you.
Excellent. So, well, goodbye, guys. See you tomorrow.
Aviento. Bye bye.
Bye.